Okay, we're going to be playing a video of a man by the name of Bullwhip. He likes to refer to himself. At a time when Trump is trying to remove the illegals from the United States with fentanyl and the drugs and the drug cartels, this man here appears to be protecting the illegals. And you're going to hear this in the video. He's more concerned about someone ripping a Mexican flag and where does his loyalties lie. I want you to judge for yourself. And then we're going to be hearing from Johnny Seven.
Hello, I go by the handle of Bullwhip, and I'm with U.S. Border Watch. This is Thursday, May 8th, 2008 at 10:21 p.m. And I wanted to talk about something that's been going on with Freedom Fighter Radio. More importantly, a guy by the name of Jim Stach, S-G-A-C-H, I guess that's the way you pronounce it. Jim came down to Houston for a illegal alien march on May 1st, and he joined us at a counter protest that we were doing. Now, U.S. Border Watch had the permit with the city of Houston, so it was U.S. Border Watch's name on this permit. And you know, whenever you go to anybody else's house and you're the guest in that house, it is my opinion that you should pretty much follow that person's rules. Now, I appreciate Jim's trying to take action and trying to help out with the war against the illegal aliens and fighting against all this mass hysteria and problems that's going on with our border situation. But you know, Jim, from what I understand and from what I saw that day on the 1st, you were asked to please not tear up the flag, not stomp on the flag. Now, I didn't see the whole thing, I've got to admit, but you were asked to please stop, then you were told to stop, and then they called the police on you. Now, the reason why they did that, Jim, is because as U.S. Border Watch had the permit, and as you were just a guest there, and the majority of the people, not everybody was U.S. Border Watch, but the majority of the people was U.S. Border Watch, whatever you do during that protest would be a reflection on U.S. Border Watch. Now, you decided in your own conscience for some reason to pick up a bullhorn and start cussing Curtis Collier, who, by the way, was doing an interview at the time. He wasn't even there. It was other members of U.S. Border Watch that talked to you. It was not Curtis. At least not at first. I don't know what he did later. And you started cussing U.S. Border Watch and Curtis Collier and basically stating that we were on the side of the illegals, which we're not. Everybody knows that. And since then, you've had a triad of, how to put it, anti-Border Watch talks on your little radio talk show, which is your show. You do what you want. But, you know, tonight, 5:08 of '08 at 7 p.m., you had another conversation on the radio, on the internet, and I tried to sign up numerous times. Couldn't get in there, you know, password already taken, this, that, and the other. I tried and tried, so I finally signed on as a guest. And it's amazing how the guests can't chat. They're muted. Muted. Jim, it's easy to hold an argument when people can't talk back to you. So, I'm talking back to you. Number one, I met you that day. I shook your hand, I talked to you, and I welcomed you here as a guest. And you seemed a little bit high-strung for my taste, but, you know, I welcomed you. But then when all hell broke loose and you started ranting and raving on that bullhorn and acting the way you did, you were like a little boy who was denied a toy in a toy store. You were throwing a fit. Jim, you were not professional. You were not acting an adult. You're still not acting an adult. You're calling Curtis every name in the book, and you're making redundant comments. U.S. Border Watch is politically correct. Then you say Curtis Collier is anti-Semitic? Well, I've never heard him say anything against the Jewish people. You say he's a white nationalist. Well, I've never seen him act like a white Nazi or a skinhead. Yeah, I heard he called you that. At least that you're saying that. I haven't heard him say it out of his mouth, but you're saying he said it. Jim, you are the high-strung filly in this case. Now, you know, people could say, well, the devil went down to Georgia to give the devil his due. Well, I'm trying to, Jim. You need to calm down. Curtis didn't hurt you. Steve didn't hurt you. I didn't hurt you. Nobody in U.S. Border Watch really hurt you that day. You got to continue tromping on your flag. You got to continue tearing it up. And you even threw a fit, okay? So you got your little temper tantrum out. Grow up. Grow up. That's all I got to say.
Okay, we got Johnny Seven on the line. He's going to comment about this video.
Oh yeah, it's going to get really heavy, and I'll just give you a quick preview of what we're going to discuss. And this also involves the United States Secret Service being told by this group because they got upset, and before I could return back to my home state of Georgia, they were actually accusing of threatening to kill George Bush, and they claim they have video proof of that. And I was cleared after 6 months of investigation by Homeland Security and the Secret Service. The evidence that they said or proof they had, they were never able to produce, costing our government millions of dollars. But I'll circle back to that in a minute. Number one, to begin with, bulldyke or bullshit or bullwhip. You know, if you look at the ownership of the YouTube channel, which is it's Ray Kmart. Now, I do want to mention that they did not have a permit. Okay, they had a bullhorn permit. No one had a parade permit. Now, did I hear correctly, Mark, that he said he wasn't there, and then later on he said he welcomed me there? Which is it? You know, no. You know, this guy is delusional. This is a video from 16 years ago, but this shows you how ahead of the game I was, trying to warn people about the invasion of these illegals. And these people were afraid, you're welcome, how it would look to the media. Oh my God, the horror of an American citizen burning, or let alone ripping and desecrating a flag being carried by foreign nationals that are committing criminal acts by being here in the first place and not going through the proper process. And ripping a Mexican flag pales in comparison to what we really should be doing. We should be burning Mexican flags in every city across this nation. Why? Because these people, they don't really want to be here. You know what the whole reason they're coming here? They want to take over this country. They want to be Americans, okay? And they want to be here, and they want to be accepted. Why don't they start carrying American flags? Better yet, why don't they quit not only carrying American flags, quit throwing American flags on the street and the pavement, setting fire to it, okay? Impeding traffic, basically entrapment or kidnapping of American citizens that can't freely travel. No. We have put up too much with these political correctness by people like Bulldyke, Bullwhip, and I'll get into who Curtis Collier is too, of U.S. Border Watch, which appears to be not very active today. It's because of people like this that you just heard or saw is why we're at where we're at today. People wanting to be politically correct. And it's quite interesting that at this thing, he talks about remember he mentioned the police, Mark? Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the police did get involved. What happened? They were trying to, they had 3 of them. There's a guy, I forget his last name, Steve, and 2 other guys. I come back to it later in a future date. I can think of the names. This was 16 years ago. They stood shoulder to shoulder, about double my size, trying to block me from getting to where I wanted to get to rip the Mexican flag, where we were vastly outnumbered. Now, I was accompanied with, I'd say, maybe a dozen or so former members of U.S. Border Watch, one of which was Marcy Mead and her husband. She died a few years ago, quite a few years ago. Marcy Mead, whose husband is big, at the time was a big wheel banker in Houston, which paid my way to come down there. And again, these people tried to physically stop me, basically slamming their fat bellies up against me. I wasn't fat at the time, but I may be overweight now. And basically assaulted me. So bottom line happened, I tried to go around him. One of their members, who's an American with a natural tan, who was born with a tan, tried to lay hands on me. He was warned by the police not to, and he was forcibly dragged away by law enforcement. I think they might have had a charge on him too, on that. I believe the officer that can verify this, I don't know, he's active duty right now, but at the time, I believe it was a man by the name of Lieutenant Rodriguez. Yes, I'm 99.9% sure that was the name. Lieutenant Rodriguez verified with me on the phone that U.S. Border Watch, the only permits they had was a bullhorn permit. So these full of bullshit, okay? You know, I wonder how many Americans hearing this now have a problem with Mexican flags being ripped in the presence of foreign nationals desecrating our red, white, and blue. I didn't put a uniform on, take an oath, just to see Old Glory thrown to the ground, stomped on, and treated in horrible, disrespectful ways. That's bullshit, okay? That's bullshit. Not in my presence and not on my watch. Now, Curtis Collier, who at the time was the president of U.S. Border Watch, and by the way, this is a very exclusive video that no one has ever done. So if anyone wants to contact me, you can contact Mark, and he'll give me your contact info, and I'll get back with you. There's so much more of frontmen for the deep state. It's not even funny that I have full knowledge of them. Many others I can discuss. But Curtis Collier was a veteran, and when he was in the military, one of his final assignments was drug interdiction between, I think, Mexico or South America. Quite interesting, isn't it? Quite interesting, yeah. And not long after, in fact, just a few days later, I got a call from my guys here in the Georgia, Carolina area that the Secret Service was at my house. They were looking for me. And so I got to the house. I called the Secret Service. I was already notified. I had a heads up on what it was all about. U.S. Border Watch accused me of threatening to kill the George Bush Jr. They claimed they had the video proof of it, and which never surfaced. This video, again, as I said in the beginning of this interview, was for about 6 months of investigation. Agent acting head of the Secret Service of Georgia at the time, of course, when he came to my door, identified himself. I said, "Oh, you have a brother named Chuck with the Texas Rangers?" That's how serious I took it. Why? Because I knew I was innocent. Okay? Agent Tom Norris interviewed me for about 2 or 3 hours. My home was swatted. The whole neighborhood was filled with FBI, GBI, Homeland Security. It looked like they were going after Osama bin Laden or something, okay? Or someone that just blew up the Pentagon or something. But I was cleared after 6 months. Agent Tom Norris, to his credit, assisted me as well in expediting a copy of the document, releasing me, and showing who accused me and what was said in the document, which I have on one of my hard drives. They actually mentioned that I did advocate, because I knew George Bush had a few problems with the New World Order and stuff, to be removed from office. But I said through constitutional means. I'm not a Democrat. I'm a hardcore Trump supporter, but I'm not a rhino. I don't believe in rhinos. But at the time, I did mention that the Mexicans needed to off their president. which was perfectly legal. They mentioned that in the document. They redacted Curtis Collier's name, but in the document you can clearly see the accusation was made by U.S. Border Watch. So it's pretty heavy. It's one of the most heavy accusations that you can ever have involving police and investigations, being accused of threatening to kill the President of the United States. That's how pissed off they were. They were trying to get me locked up and think they would do it, but they said they had video and they never came with it. So they wasted the time of the Secret Service, millions of dollars from the Secret Service. I think it was in the tune of $8 to $10 million. They spent, our government spent, just because of this U.S. border bullshit. And at the time, I was also mentioning the problem I had with Bush and even the Democrats for years have known, even up to recently, that Mexican cartels were operating on the hilltops of Arizona. In the early 2000s, the FBI, or I should say, our intelligence agencies had full knowledge of the locations where these operating centers were on American soil, operating on the hilltops. Okay? People, it's our duty to stand up against these parasites and these scumbags that think that we can save America or protect America with politically correct speech, with peaceful action by, let's just get along. No, we can't get along. We can't get along with those that want to destroy this constitutional republic. And it's about damn time we stand up within the confines of the law and show these parasites, these communists, aka Democrats, and these parasites that are coming into this country that we're not going to take. We're mad as hell, and we're not going to take it anymore. So I'm not the one. Someone in America needs to organize an anti-communist, maybe a 2A rally involving the desecration of communist flags and the flags of any enemy nation. Okay, countries that are hostile to us, the emblems of groups that are hostile to us, and it's time to take a stand. It's time to take a stand. The Bible says faith without works is dead. Patriotism without action is also dead. Mark?
Okay, that's all I have to say on that. Is there anything else you wanted to say?
Yeah, if you want to follow me, you can go to I'm on Twitter, Johnny7 at Johnny760, but make it easy because I'm coming out with a podcast in the coming weeks or months. Hopefully not months, in the next coming few weeks. You can simply follow me in the meantime by going to TeamAmericaNews.com. That's TeamAmericaNews.com. Follow me on Twitter. Thank you.